Hey, it's Narita here, and in this episode, we'll be looking at the question, what is Ascension and the Great Awakening? So you've probably heard of the term Ascension or the Great Awakening before, but what does it even mean? So in this episode, I'm going to explore this with you, and we're going to look at it on both a personal and a universal global scale as well. So I guess another way you could look at Ascension or the Great Awakening is a shift in consciousness. It is a shift in perception in the way that you see things, and you start to wake up to who you truly are. Now, let's start on a personal level. We'll start even with a simple example. When you were younger, you might have used to believe in the tooth fairy. Sorry if you still do, and I'm spoiling the surprise. But as you got older, you realized that that wasn't the case at all, and it wasn't true anymore. And of course, your perception changed, your consciousness shifted. So the way you saw it was different. So this is something that happens on a personal level. So as you start to awaken to who you truly are, you start to realize and see things differently. You might be doing personal development work, self-development work on yourself, obviously, and you're starting to realize that maybe the limiting beliefs or the things that you thought about yourself aren't actually true. So you begin there and you start to realize that, hey, things aren't exactly how I thought they were. They're different, and you start to shift your perception. And with that, your vibration, because we're all made up of energy, that starts to shift and change as well. And as you go along on your journey, now I know a lot of people don't like the word journey, but let's just use that as the word for now. But as you go along on your journey, everyone is on a different path. We all have our own unique paths that we're going along. And with that, we may start to awaken at different times. And there is no right or wrong with this, by the way. It is as it is. And for some people, it's a gradual process, which can happen to quite a lot of people. Or there may be this massive catalyst event, which automatically just wakes you up to what's going on in the world and to you seeing yourself in a totally new light, and you can never come back from that. It's like when a rubber band is stretched, it can no longer be put back to exactly where it was because it's now been stretched. And that happens in so many different ways across the board. And I'm sure that as you're sitting here, we're chatting with each other, so to speak, you can probably think of many times where you thought one way and then discovered that your thoughts on something and the way that you saw it was actually completely different to what it really was. Now, that happens on a personal level, and it's an ongoing thing. And as we start to peel off the layers that perhaps, or the rose-colored glasses in some instances, and start to see things for what they really are, and remember who we really are, which of course is a spiritual being having a human experience, and we start to realize the power of who we are, which is creators of our lives and of this universe. We start to see things differently, and we start to see what's going on in the world. And then with that, we start to dive down into rabbit holes of discovery and learning about things that maybe aren't so cool either about the world. And that happens too. So I guess in essence, when you're awakening on a personal level, you start to question, you start to see things differently. And with that, your consciousness shifts and changes and elevates. And the more that we ascend, the more we let go of the stuff that isn't true for us and become more of who we are. So on a global sense or a universal scale, this is happening as well, because we don't just create our own reality, we co-create the reality that we live in. We're all here having this experience. So everything that we think and we feel and the actions that we take, that all contributes to the collective, because of course we're connected and we are one. Even though we're having individual experiences, we are still all connected. So everything that we put out into the world affects that. So when you're being a beacon of light and sharing your joy and love, that creates a ripple effect that goes far and wide. And of course, it also means that that's why it's so important to begin within, to do the work on yourself so that you can be all you came here to be and create a world that is amazing. Now that might sound far-fetched, but it's not really, because we co-create the world together. So it's up to us to create it in a way that we want it to be. So then you've got to question things like, okay, so I'm looking at the world right now and it looks pretty crazy, Narita. And of course it looks crazy because there's so many people awakening. And with that, the vibration is lifting. And while those that probably aren't playing the game so properly, the 1% of the population, not the 99%, the things that aren't so great in the world are having a torch shone on them. And it means, I guess another way to put it is, and I wish I could remember who said this, but it's like Mother Earth is giving birth. Mother Earth is evolving and changing, and she is going through the shift in consciousness as well. It's not just us humans, it's everything, every species. We're all shifting in this consciousness. So I guess if you think about someone giving birth, it's probably not the most not always the most peaceful thing. I'm sure you've seen some stuff or you've experienced it yourself. And so with that, lots of changing and moving is happening. And it means that even though, and right now we're in that. So we're in that time where all the and all that stuff is going on. But we do know that at the end, there is a rebirth, an awakening, a shift in consciousness. So with that, I think it's important for us to remember that everything that we do, it all begins within. It all starts with us. It starts with us doing the work on ourselves to create a ripple effect that we want to create in the world. We have that choice. We are amazing creatures that can create. And sometimes we've forgotten that. And that too is part of the Great Awakening and Ascension, is that we remember who we are and the power of who we are, that we are creators, and that together we can create an amazing place. That right there is my take on what Ascension and the Great Awakening is. So I really hope you got something from this episode. If you did like it, please hit that like button and leave a comment below. I would absolutely love to hear from you on this. Maybe you've had your own great awakening or shift in consciousness that you want to share, or maybe some insights from this episode. We all learn from each other after all, so please leave a comment below. And if you are new to my channel, please hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you'll be notified every time a new video is released. So aside from that, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.